It was a quiet night at the single palace. The moon shone softly through the window, casting a silver glow across the marble floors and silk curtains. In her small room near the back of the palace, AMINAT stood alone by the window. The cool night breeze touched her skin, but she didn't move. Her dark eyes stared out into the distance, but she wasn't really looking. Her thoughts were far away. Tears slowly rolled down her dark cheeks. She didn't try to wipe them away. Her heart felt heavy, full of pain and fear. With one hand, she gently rubbed her stomach. It had started to grow, a soft curve beneath her dress. She was going to be a mother soon. But instead of feeling joy, she felt more alone than ever. She thought of Sung, her husband. He had been kind, brave, and full of laughter. His smile could light up her whole world. He always stood by her side, protecting her from harm, standing up to anyone who dared speak harshly to her, even her own father. But Sung was gone now. He had died in the battle at the border, fighting to keep the kingdom safe. The day she heard the news, something inside her broke. Now there was no one to speak for her, no one to fight for her. Her father, Mr. Chi, had always been a strong man, cold and full of pride. But since Sung's death, he had become worse. He didn't care about her sadness or her baby. All he wanted was power. He had come to her room just that morning, his voice sharp and eyes full of anger. "You must do it," he had said, placing a small pouch in her hand. "The emperor must die. Put this in his medicine. It will be quick, and no one will know." AMINAT had stared at the pouch. "Poison." Her fingers had gone numb holding it. She had whispered, "I can't. He's done nothing wrong." Mr. Chi's voice had turned cold. "You will. Or you will lose everything." Now, alone in the darkness, AMINAT clenched her fist. Her tears dried. The pain in her heart turned into fire. She had obeyed others for too long. She had been silent, afraid, and weak. But not anymore. Not now. She wouldn't kill an innocent man. She wouldn't let her child grow up with blood on her hands. She wouldn't let her father control her any longer. She turned from the window with a new strength in her steps. Quiet as a shadow, she made her way through the dark halls of the palace. She stopped at a small door and gently pushed it open. Inside, the room was warm and peaceful. A little girl lay sleeping on a soft bed, her small chest rising and falling. Her name was Rosalind. AMINAT had found Rosalind on the streets months ago, crying and cold. She had taken her in, fed her, and loved her. The girl had become like a daughter to her. AMINAT bent down and gently lifted Rosalind into her arms. The child stirred but didn't wake. Holding her close, AMINAT moved quickly through the back passages of the palace. She knew the guards' paths. She had studied them for weeks. She made sure no one saw her as she slipped through the servants' gate and into the night. She did not look back. A few days later, she arrived at a small village far from the palace. People were simple and kind. No one asked where she had come from. They welcomed her with smiles. She worked hard every day, using the skills Sung had taught her to start a small business. She sold cloth, herbs, and spices. She helped women learn to sew and trade. Slowly, people began to trust her. Her shop grew. Soon, people from nearby villages came to buy from her. They called her Sister Ami, and said she brought good luck. Many women came to her for advice. No one treated her badly because of her dark skin. They loved her for who she was, strong, kind, and honest. Rosalind grew too. AMINAT taught her how to read, how to trade, and how to be brave. The girl was smart and full of life. She helped AMINAT in the shop and in the house. They laughed together, cooked together, and watched the stars at night. Yet even with all the happiness around her, AMINAT still felt something missing. Each night, as she lay in bed, her hand would rest on her stomach. The baby was almost here. She could feel its soft kicks. Sometimes she smiled, sometimes she cried. She missed Sung deeply. His voice, his laughter, the way he looked at her like she was the most precious thing in the world. She whispered to the baby often, "Your father was a hero. He would have loved you so much. Though she had no word from the palace, she heard nothing about the emperor's death. That gave her peace. It meant she had made the right choice. She had chosen life over hate, kindness over fear. One evening she stood outside her small home, watching the sun set behind the hills. Rosalind played nearby, laughing. The wind blew gently through her hair, and the smell of sweet flowers filled the air. Aminat placed her hand on her tummy and smiled softly. "I miss you, Sung," she whispered. "But I'll be strong for me, for her, and for our child." 9 months passed like a dream. Time flew so quickly that Aminat sometimes forgot to breathe. Each day she worked hard, growing her small business and raising Rosalind with love and patience. Her belly had grown heavy, her back often ached, but she didn't complain. She smiled through it all, whispering songs to the little one inside her. That morning the sky was bright and full of sunshine. The market was buzzing with noise, traders calling out, children laughing, and women chatting about their goods. Aminat was at her stall, arranging jars of herbs and folded cloths. She was alone that day, as Rosalind had gone to help a neighbor. Her hands moved carefully, but she felt a strange tightness in her stomach. She stopped for a moment, thinking it was nothing. Then the pain hit her. It was sharp, sudden. Her body bent slightly forward, and she held her belly, her heart racing. A soft cry escaped her lips. Few people noticed her. "Aminat!" someone shouted, rushing to her side. But before anyone could do more, a man appeared from the crowd. He was tall, fair-skinned, and moved with quiet strength. His robe flowed behind him like a wave. His face, calm, noble, and strong, looked so much like someone she had once known, someone she had lost. Sung. No, she told herself. That couldn't be. He was dead. This must be someone else. The man didn't speak. He gently took her arm and supported her weight. His touch was careful but firm. "She needs help," he told the others calmly. "I'll take her." Without waiting for anyone's answer, he lifted her carefully and rushed through the streets toward the small village clinic. Aminat's world became a blur of pain, heat, and soft voices. The nurses helped her inside. Warm hands held her, calming her, guiding her through every breath. The labor was long, the pain great, but Aminat fought through it with all the strength in her heart. She thought of her baby. She thought of Sung. She thought of the life she had rebuilt. Then, at last, there was a cry. Tiny, beautiful cry. Moments later, the nurse placed a small bundle in her arms. Her baby. Aminat stared down at the little face. His skin was as dark as hers, soft and warm. His eyes were still closed, but he moved slightly in her arms. Her heart swelled with love. She smiled through tears. "You're here," she whispered. "My sweet boy." Then a thought hit her. Who was the man who brought her here? She looked up at the nurse. "The man who brought me. Who is he? Where is he?" Before the nurse could reply, the door creaked open. And in stepped a man she had not seen in months. A man she had believed was dead. King Sung. Aminat froze. Her breath caught in her chest. He wore a royal blue robe lined with gold, and his long dark hair was tied neatly beneath a traditional hat. His face was calm, but his eyes were full of emotion. "Sung," she whispered, her voice shaking. He gave her a soft smile. "Aminat." She felt the world spin. Her tears fell freely now, and without thinking, she handed the baby to the nurse and rushed into his arms. She wrapped her arms around him tightly, her fingers trembling against his back. "You're alive," she cried. "You're alive, Sung. Why didn't you come back? Why did you leave me all this time?" Sung held her just as tightly, resting his chin against her hair. "I didn't want to hurt you," he said softly. He pulled back and wiped her tears gently with his thumb. Then he told her everything. He had learned before the battle that Mr. Chi, her father, had secretly sent men to kill him. Sung knew it was a trap, so he made a plan. He spread the word that he had died in battle, letting the rumor grow so that Mr. Chi would feel safe and confident. It had taken months of hiding, planning, and watching from the shadows. "I've been close all this time," he said. "I watched you build a new life. I watched you raise Rosalind, start your business, and carry our child with such courage. I wanted to come sooner, but it wasn't time yet. Not until he moved." AMINAT's heart ached, but she understood. She pressed her forehead against his and whispered, "Please, never do this again. Don't scare me like that." "I promise," he said. He turned to the nurse and gently took their baby boy into his arms. The baby shifted slightly, letting out a soft coo. Sung's lips curved into a proud smile. "He's perfect," he said. "Strong. Just like his mother." They stood together, a family reunited. "We will name him Liang," Sung said. "It means bright and good. May he bring light to this world, even when darkness tries to rise." AMINAT smiled through fresh tears. "Liang," she repeated. "It's beautiful." But their moment was soon broken. The door flew open, and a guard stepped inside, panting. "Your Majesty," he said urgently. "It started. Mr. Chi is making a move. He's gathering men near the capital. It's time." Sung's expression turned hard. His jaw tightened. He handed baby Liang back to the nurse gently. "Stay here," he told AMINAT. "Keep Liang safe. I have to finish this now." AMINAT nodded, her hands trembling slightly. "Be careful, Sung. Come back to us." He turned to her one last time. His eyes soft again. "I will. This time I swear it." Sung leaned forward and kissed her forehead gently. Then he turned, mounted his horse, and rode off with his trusted armed men. The sound of galloping hooves echoed down the narrow road as he left the peaceful village and headed back to the place where everything began, the single palace. The journey was not long, but it felt heavy. Sung's heart beat faster with every mile. His mind flooded with thoughts of his father, the emperor, and the betrayal that had shattered their lives. When they arrived at the palace gates, something felt wrong. The guards looked uneasy, the courtyard was too quiet, and the wind carried a sharp tension. Then they saw him. The emperor, Sung's father, lay on the marble steps of the palace. His royal robe stained deep red with blood. His eyes were open but weak, his breath shallow. Sung jumped off his horse and rushed forward. "Father!" he cried, falling to his knees beside him. The emperor slowly turned his head, eyes flickering with the last pieces of life. His hand trembled as he reached for his sons. "You came," he whispered. "I'm here, father." "Please hold on," Sung said, his voice breaking as he gripped the emperor's hand. Tears fell from the old man's eyes. "Chi poisoned me. He betrayed us all." Sung clenched his jaw as he bent forward, pressing his forehead to his father's. "Rest now. I'll handle everything." With a final breath, the emperor closed his eyes. His hand went limp. Sung's body shook with pain. He growled deeply, his voice full of grief. Slowly he stood, his eyes cold and burning with fury. "Get inside," he said to his men. "It ends now." They stormed into the palace like thunder. Mr. Chi was seated in the grand hall, sipping tea, unaware of what was coming. The second he saw Sung alive, his cup slipped from his hand and shattered on the floor. You're supposed to be dead," he stammered, stumbling to his feet. Sung said nothing. His steps were steady, his eyes locked on the man who had destroyed his family. Mr. Chi tried to speak, tried to explain. "Sung, listen." But Sung didn't listen. With swift motion, he pulled out a sharp knife and charged at him. The blade went straight into Mr. Chi's chest. He gasped, eyes wide in disbelief and horror. He stumbled backward, clutching his chest as blood spilled down his silk robe. "No, no!" Mr. Chi choked on his own blood and collapsed to the ground, twitching then lying still. A scream filled the room. Mimi, his daughter, ran to his lifeless body. She dropped to her knees, tears pouring down her cheeks as she cradled his head. "Father, Father, wake up," she sobbed. "Please, Sung, don't hurt me. I didn't know." Sung stood above them, breathing heavily, the pain of losing his father still fresh in his heart. He looked at Mimi with cold eyes. "You watched as your father betrayed mine. You said nothing. You're not innocent. Please," Mimi cried. "I'm begging you." Sung didn't flinch. "She is to be sold into slavery," he told the guards. "No, please," Mimi screamed as the guards pulled her away. Her cries echoed through the palace halls, but no one stopped them. Days turned into weeks. Sung did not rest. He worked tirelessly to rebuild the palace, to restore order, and to bury his father with honor. The people mourned the emperor's death, but they began to see Sung as their hope, as a prince who rose from the ashes, as a king reborn. When the dust had finally settled, and the golden flags of peace flew once again over the palace walls, Sung mounted his horse once more. It was time to go back for his queen. Aminat sat outside the small cottage with baby Liang in her arms. The sun was warm, and the breeze carried the sweet scent of blooming flowers. She rocked gently on a wooden stool, humming a soft song. Her dark skin glowed under the sun, and her eyes sparkled with peace. Rosalind sat on the ground nearby, clapping and singing a playful tune for the baby. "Liang, Liang, strong and bright. Mama loves you day and night." Aminat laughed softly. "You'll spoil him with your songs," she said, watching Rosalind. The moment was peaceful. Pure. Then a voice called from behind her. "Aminat." She froze. She turned slowly. There he was. Sung stood at the edge of the trees, dressed in a royal red robe with gold embroidery. His face was calm but full of love. His eyes met hers, and the rest of the world melted away. She rose to her feet, heart racing. The baby cooed in her arms. Sung walked toward her, his arms open. "It's time to come back home," he said gently. "Come take your rightful place, my dear Aminat." Tears filled her eyes. Without a word, she rushed into his embrace. Their lips met in a deep, tender kiss, full of every word left unspoken, full of love and longing and relief. Sung pulled back and looked at their baby boy. "He's perfect," he said softly. "Just like you." They stood there together, a family reunited at last. And as the sun set behind them, it painted the sky in gold, as if blessing their new beginning.